Hi, it's Wyndham. Apologies for the hat. Anyone who has been watching my content over the last few months may have noticed my hair is getting longer. It is an intentional, deliberate, deliberate thing. I'm growing my hair out. A friend of mine said to me the other day, I was on a Zoom call with him, haven't seen him for a while. Got on the call immediately and he went, quick question, what the is going on with your hair? So forgive me for the hat. It is at a point where it looks terrible. Which actually, not deliberately, but brings me to what I want to talk about today, which is having a clear understanding of what we are trying to create. And this goes across everything in our lives, whether it is a personal relationship, whether it is a personal decision within our lives, whether it is a professional decision, whether you're a business owner and you are making decisions around direction of your business or whatever it might be. Everything in our life benefits from a clear understanding of what we are trying to create. That might seem like a really simple thing to say, well, obviously. But I would ask you, how clear are you on what you are trying to create? I'm working with a new client and they recognise that they're not clear. From a professional perspective, absolutely. They have a clear understanding of what they want to do. They are less clear on the deeper meaning it is going to create for them, which is an area we're working on. Outside of their professional life, it's different. There is an uncertainty about what they're trying to create for themselves. And part of that uncertainty is driven by the consequences of our actions. There is a great weight on this person of expectation, of duty, of all the kind of things that many of us experience. And with those expectations and with that duty, we sense a feeling of our decisions being shaped for us. There's also an element of when people's expectations of us are that we aren't going to do very well. There is part of our brain that latches on when people doubt us. And in that situation, we have a very difficult time because what do we fall back on? How clearly can we understand their doubt and weigh it and go, you know what, it's not true? Or do we look at it and go, actually, you know what, I've got all this history that says they're right. That I don't have a track record that I follow through on things, or their perception of me is X, and actually, you know what, I conform to that more often than I don't. And that can be the point where we get to, and it's like, you know what, I have to do something about this because I understand the pattern of my behaviour. I understand that this is what historically I have done, and I want to change it. It is incredibly difficult to step into an unknown future, and that is what we're asking ourselves to do. And until we recognise that is what we're asking ourselves to do, it just feels terrifying. But when we bring our awareness to what is, rather than the stories we tell ourselves or the stories that we are told by other people, when we bring ourselves to what is, we empower ourselves to deal with it. The reality is we live in a consequential universe. Outcome follows input, always. That's just what is. The primary motivators for our decisions, we have two. One is to insulate us from something. One is to expose ourselves to something. If we can accept that, we go, okay, well, is this an insulating or an exposing decision? Every decision we make ever comes with two sets of consequences, the intended and the unintended. How clear are we on the intended outcomes we are trying to create? Because the reality is there will be unintended consequences. We can't avoid it. It is part of the universe, part of the world we live in. When we have unintended consequences, how strongly can we reflect back on our intention and actually the goals we are trying to create? Because I guarantee you there will be a price to pay for creating the life you really want to live. And it is only, I believe, through a strong connection to an understanding of why we are doing what we're doing, the deeper meaning we are trying to create, that we can then sit with all these guaranteed unintended consequences and weigh them against what we're trying to create. Sometimes we will create unintended consequences, and when we reflect on them, it's like, that's part of the price I need to pay. And when we're talking about unintended consequences, often we see them as a result of new boundaries that we put in place. People are used to us being a certain way, right? We teach people how to treat us, but we do it off our blueprints, and our blueprints automate our reactions to what's going on around us and to us. So very little of it is intentional. So when we get intentional, when we become intentional, we put boundaries in place that serve us and the deeper meaning we are trying to create. But that is going to disrupt how other people are used to interacting with us. And some people will resist hard, and they will make us, or attempt to make us, feel terrible about the boundaries we put in place. We have not intended for them to feel bad. That was not our intention. So we have a choice in that moment. Do I relax my boundary in order to make you feel better? Or do I recognize the deeper meaning I'm trying to create for myself? And this boundary is a mechanism through which I will achieve that. And you're going to have to suck it up. Because my integrity says this is really important to me. And other people are going to have to learn to interact with us in a different way. Some people won't be able to make that adjustment. And then we have a decision as to, well, what do I do now? Do I let those people go? My sister years ago introduced me to a saying around people in our lives that was for a reason, a season, or forever. And when we stand on our integrity, when we are clear about why we are doing what we are doing, what the deeper meaning we are trying to create is, recognize that there will always be two types of consequence, intended and unintended. Recognizing that we can weigh the unintended. If there's something I can do about it, and I want to do something about it that doesn't jeopardize my primary motivation, cool, I will do that. But if it does jeopardize my primary motivation, I have to stand on my boundaries, stand on my integrity, and that is going to cost me something. But if I can do all of those things, I can bear the price. I leave you with that. Wish you a peaceful and joyful few days. Hopefully I'll be back with better hair, and I will speak to you soon.